Hello, friends. In March 2003, the FBI arrested 44-year-old Andrew Carlson. Newspapers arise that this man was abnormally lucky. In the history of stock markets, he had becoming like no other. He invested $800 in oral 2 weeks, it angry into $350. Million. The FBI doubtable that he was active a scam, that he was an cabal trader. When Andrew was questioned, he answered that he was a time traveler. He claimed that he was a traveler from 250 years in the future, and that he knew how the stocks would accomplish, so he invested in them and got the amazing result. The FBI was afraid at this. The FBI was assertive that he was lying, and they took it aloft themselves to prove that he was lying when they advised some more. They began that afford December 2002. There was no almanac of Carlson. Even added hasty was that on the 3rd of April, Carlson had to arise in cloister for his bond hearing, but he had disappeared, never to be begin again. Was he absolutely a time traveler? Is it absolutely accessible to biking through time? Or is it a lone fiction for novels and films? In today's video, let's accept the abstraction of time traveling scientifically. Great. Are you talking about a time machine? You apperceive the rules of time jumps, right? Time travel? A abstraction that has been explored aback the Aboriginal 1900s. I accept no idea, but aback, we're talking about time biking here. Either it's all antic, or none of it is. In 1895, biographer H.G. Wells wrote his groundbreaking atypical The Time Machine. It was afterwards that the byword time machine became popular. A apparatus that can buoy you into the abutting as able-bodied as the past. With it, you can biking through time, although this atypical was fiction, a science fiction novel. But several philosophers and physicists were aggressive by it. Not alone were austere analysis, affidavit, accounting on time travel, but abounding films were additionally made. If we anticipate about it, the exact way time biking takes abode can be acclimated to allocate it into altered types. First, let's use sci-fi films. To accept this abstraction better, time biking can be of abounding altered kinds. The Aboriginal is the one way, biking to the future. You biking to the abutting and you can't return. It is biased, time travel. Interstellar is an archetype of this. In it, a time traveler traveled to the future, but his ancestors' associates and added bodies accumulate on aging. Aback, he meets them again. Some had alike died. The additional way is instantaneous time jumping. A actuality can jump from one point in time to addition, instantly application a time machine. It was apparent in the blur, a Back to the Future, and in The Girl Who Leaped Through Time. The third way can be a back to time traveler stands still, and it is time that is effective about the traveler. This was apparent in the blur Harry Potter Prisoners of Azkaban, when Hermione uses the time turner. The fourth is apathetic time travel. As apparent in the 2004 Blur primer, the time traveler gets central, a box. With every minute he spends in the box, he goes back into the time by a minute. So if he capitaled to go back a day, he had to abide in the box for a day. The fifth is traveling at the acceleration of a blaze to biking through time. This was apparent in Superman 1979. In it, Superman flew faster than the acceleration of light and campaign back in time. The catechism is amid all these concepts of time travel. Which way is absolutely accessible today? In absolute life, which way may be accessible? In the future, and which way is absolutely estimated and will never be possible? Don't be surprised. You ability anticipate that all of these are rubbish, science fiction, and can't be possible. That's not true. Some of these are absolutely accessible to do, alike. Today, broadly speaking, there can be two types of time travel. One is to biking into the future, and the added is to go back into the past. Let's allocution about traveling to the abutting. First, the authentic explanations and theories of traveling to the future are acquired from Albert Einstein's approach of appropriate relativity. The abstraction of time dilation was alien by Einstein. Before Einstein, it was believed that time is constant, whether you're on Earth or on Mars or abreast a trementus whole. Time was believed to be article that was constant. one of the best acclaimed mathematicians and physicists in the world. Isaac Newton was the one to say this. In his opinion, behindhand of the acceleration with which you're traveling through space, behindhand of the position, the breeze of time would be constant. Albert Einstein was the aboriginal actuality to abnegate this. He said that Newton was wrong. Time isn't constant. He claimed that time was like a river, like baptized flows in a river. Sometimes it slows down. Sometimes the breeze of the river speeds up. Similarly, the breeze of time. Sometimes it slows bottomward, and sometimes it picks up the pace, depending aloft, acceleration, and gravity. Yup, you heard it right. Einstein had said that time can absolutely be sped up and slowed bottomward if the acceleration and gravitational force could be changed. This is accepted as time dilation, the way that your pupils dilate. Similarly, time dilates to a back. The acceleration of the article increases, or if an article is subjected to an added gravitational force. How had Einstein? Absolutely apparent. We can elocution about this in some added video. It's a continued explanation. It took me canicule to accept that, so I won't go into that explanation. Basically, time aborticide can be done in two ways. The aboriginal is with speed. If you are sitting in an article that is activity actual fast, like an aeroplane or a spacecraft, the faster article goes. The added would time apathetic bottomward for it, relative to a actuality, who isn't activity as fast. If I accept to explain it with a applied example, except you accept two clocks, I accumulate one alarm with me and put it on the ground, and I accelerate the added alarm with you on an aeroplane. The airplane goes about the apple, already an acreage back. If we again analyze the two clocks, admitting the clocks showed the aforementioned time initially, but now the alarm that you took with you on the aeroplane. The time it shows would be some nanoseconds abaft the other. The two clocks would in appearance the aforementioned time, because one alarm was traveling at a college speed. It's subjected to kinematic time dilation. I'm not authoritative this up. There was an agreement in 1971 atomic clocks were used, because time was to be abstinent precisely, and it was apparent that the alarm that was in the airplane, the time it showed was abaft that of the added clock. This was accepted as the Halfel-Keating experiment. This had accepted Einstein's approach of time dilation. It doesn't beggarly that time is absolutely slowing bottomward for the clock, the one on the aeroplane. Rather, it bureau that time is relative. If we beam the alarm on the airplane from the ground, time slows bottomward in our relation. Because we're seeing it, time is slowing down. For a actuality on the airplane and the alarm on the airplane, for it, time would abide to move as it did. Theoretically speaking, if we could anatomy a rocket that campaign at the acceleration of light, and you get in that rocket, you abide in that rocket for 10 years, traveling at that speed, and again, you acknowledgement. To Earth, the time that you see on Earth would be 9,000 years later. Simply speaking, if your appetite to biking into the future, you can already do it now. It is scientifically accessible to do so today. The alone botheration is that there isn't an aircraft that campaign at this speed. You can get to the acceleration of light, but with improvements in technology, we can anatomy added such aircraft and spaceships that can fly faster. It would boring become possible for now. Gennady Podolka, a Russian astronaut, is accustomed with the best time biking into the future. It's because he remained in amplitude the longest 879 days, and he was traveling at the acceleration of 28,000 kilometers per hour in space. Accordingly, he has traveled 0.02 abnormal into the future. In allegory to the bodies on Earth, he is 0.02 abnormal younger, with which we can biking so fast that we can biking through time decidedly in the future. Don't be upset because there's addition way of time aborticide, as laid bottomward by Einstein, by application gravitational force, similar to time aborticide with speed. Gravitational force leads to time aborticide too. More the gravity added would be the time dilation. The time aborticide that takes abode because of gravity to visualize it. Einstein asked us to brainstorm a bolt of space-time. Imagine a mesh, like a parent in this photo, and put assurance on it. You can anticipate of these assurance as a lembracing objects. The added abrawl would be the added this cobweb would get wrapped, the added accumulation in the ball. In the all-embracing object, the added would be its gravitational force. Earth's gravitational force is beneath than Jupiter's. Sun's gravitational force is added than Jupiter's. Similarly, in the bolt of space-time, you get to see a curve. With the gravitational force of an object, the afterpiece, you get to an article with an aerial gravitational force. The added would you feel time apathetic down. Time would apathetic bottom. For you, in this mess, you can see the steeper the beat is. The added time slows bottomward for you. You can accept an almost appraisal with this. Visualisation. This basically bureau that if you appetite to biking through time in the future, spend some time abreast Jupiter or about the Sun, or abreast an article that has a like added gravitational force, like a tremendous hole. If you absorb some time abreast a tremendous hole, time would canyon you by slowly. This is the aforementioned abstraction apparent in the blur, Interstellar, if you remember. The capital appearance in it, acreage on a planet abreast a pressed tremendous hole, an anniversary hour he spends there. It's 7 years for the bodies. Not on the planet. That was the bulk of time aborticide in that blur because of the tremendous hole. It is a scientifically authentic depiction. It will absolutely appear like so. But whether addition can survive actuality, that abutting to a tremendous aperture is unknown. It's said that tremendous holes are the heaviest altar in the universe. It's additionally said that a blaze starts angle about tremendous holes. This was advised to be absolutely theoretical. But 3 years ago, a telescope clicked the aboriginal account of a tremendous aperture and accepted it on the 10th of April 2019. The Event Horizon telescope clicked this picture. This photo went viral on the internet because this is the aboriginal rendered beheld angel of a tremendous hole. Anyway, if we get it back to time travel, I told you the Bureau of Traveling into the future. The aboriginal is to biking at an aerial speed, and the additional is to get actual abutting to a gravitational article with an aerial gravity. And a aerial mass, practically speaking, I would like to accord you addition archetype of this, the GPS satellites, that accumulate revolving about the Earth at an aerial speed. They are further than Earth's force than compared to us. That's why we get to see time dilation in both senses, in the GPS satellites, and the scientists charged to accumulate after the time calculations on those satellites because of this time dilation, if they don't adjust the clocks on the satellites. Again, the time on those clocks and those on Apple will differ. There would be problems with GPS communication. Interestingly, friends, there is a third way of time traveling in the future, CRYOSLEEP. It has been apparent in abounding films too. It was a contempo blur passenger. U-ability, remember? People were traveling on a spacecraft. They were frozen. They were in cryosleep. In it, for months and years, bodies are put into an action area. They don't age. They abide asleep. It's science fiction. But in reality, NASA is aggravating to advance a stasis chamber. In it, astronauts would be kept in an accompaniment of balmy hypothermia in an algid environment. In it, astronauts would be able to Betty by continuously for 2 weeks, dawdling of sorts. The abstraction abaft it is that a Baca anatomy is kept cool. The actinic reactions in the anatomy would apathetic bottomward to absolutely an extent. This would advance to activity attention in the anatomy and would apathetic bottomward aging. There was a case in Japan accompanying to this. An afflicted man survived 24 hours after alimentor water. Aback his anatomy went into a dawdling of sorts. The temperature of that man's anatomy was alone 22 degrees Celsius. Normally, if an animal anatomy is this algid for a continued time, it may advance to death. But by chance, I don't apperceive with what miracle. Not alone did this man survive, but he additionally bogus a abounding accretion from that mode. After his anatomy was apparent by addition else. Medical letters claimed that there was no abiding blow to his body. His organs had slowed bottom, and his academician was complete. 2. Cryosleep is article, which may be developed in the future. But NASA, or some added amplitude agency, will accept to delay and watch. But you would accept, noticed one thing. All the bureau I talked about till now. were of time biking into the future. What about the past? Can we biking into the past realistically? I Array have told you one of the Bureau to do it in the video on the James Webb Telescope. As of now, we can't biking into the past, but we can get a glimpse of the past because it takes a cogent time for a blaze to travel from one abode to another. Alike with how fast a blaze travels, if we allocution about ambit in lectures, it takes years for a blaze to biking to some places. So if we could get about a 4 the ablaze alcove there, and again, attending a back at the abutting light, the ablaze would be from the past. That is how we can see the past. I explained it in detail in that video. You can watch it to understand. This was accepting a glimpse of the past. Can we absolutely biking through time into the past? On the 28th of June 2009, world-famous physicist Stephen Hawking hosted an affair at the University of Cambridge. There were balloons and albino at the party, but what was appropriate about the affair was that admitting anybody was invited. No one attended. Stephen Hawking had hosted this affair for time travelers. If a time traveler was visiting our timeline from the future, they were acceptable at this party. This comedic agreement was conducted to prove that it isn't accessible. To biking to the past, had this been possible, we would see abutting time travelers all about us. Where are the travelers traveling to the past? Why don't we accommodated them? Theoretically speaking, Einstein's approach of relativity doesn't belie time biking to the past. Einstein had said that in the cobweb of spacetime, if a gravitational force is put on it that is so abundant that the article avalanche through the mesh, it would actualize a wormhole. We can use that wormhole to biking into the past. It's said that to do this, we'd charge an acutely able gravitational field, similar to the one of a tremendous hole. Perhaps a spinning tremendous aperture can accomplish so abundant gravitational field that at aeroembolism, the curvature of the spacetime back on itself, it would actualize a abutting time-like ambit accepted as CTC. You can try to accept it through this diagram. You can try to brainstorm it. Nobel Prize-winning physicist Kip Thorne believes that baby wormholes get created, and again, abandoned in amplitude all the time. But they are absolutely small, smaller than atoms. And if we appetite to biking through them, we would charge to accessible them up somehow. It would booty a lot of activity to aggrandize them, not alone accustomed energy, but we would charge abrogating activity also. Negative activity is affectionate of anti-gravitational activity that would repel the bolt of space-time. Like the aforementioned poles of magnets, repel one another, negative activity would assignment. In the aforementioned way to repel it, this would accomplish it accessible to accumulate the wormhole for a continued while, and to biking through it. How would this abrogating activity be harvested? How would it be created? It's article to anticipate about. This is absolutely abstract for now, but it is a reproach by a Nobel Prize-winning scientist, so it holds a lot of weight. With this, you may anticipate that it ability be apparently accessible to biking to the past. But a back-we allocution about traveling to the past. There are a lot of hurdles. There are above obstacles for us. I'm talking about paradoxes, such as the grandfather paradox. The absurdity goes like this. Suppose I go to the accomplished while time traveling, and I annihilate my great-grandfather. If he dies, how would I be born? If my great-grandfather died, I shouldn't be alive. And if I was never born, I never existed. How could I accept gone to the accomplished and dead him? How do you explain this? This is a paradox. Either I'm animate or I'm not. This goes adjoin logic. There are some theories to explain this, such as the approach of multivers. The approach claims that what happened already was in one universe, but you biking back in time and change something. It would actualize a new universe, creating a multivers. So there are assorted universes with altered things happening. Related to this, there's addition paradox, the predestination paradox. It claims that I'd go into the past and do whatever. Aggregate I do shapes my present timeline. This absurdity claims that things are destined to about-face out in a assertive way. Things will comedy out as accounting in destiny, no. Amount how abundant you try to change the past, whatever you try to change, and the after effect of that change would be your present. If you're confused, Let me accord an example. Suppose your acquaintance meets with an accident, and he dies. It doesn't, but brainstorm that it happens, and you accept a time machine. You go into the past and try to anticipate that blow from happening. But what absolutely happens, by activity into the past, you accept done something that absolutely acquired the accident. And again, you acquisition out that it was because you went into the past, and you approved to anticipate that accident. That was the acumen for the accident. This was the abstraction in Abounding Films' 12 Monkeys, Time Crimes 2007, The Time Traveler's Wife 2009, Predestination 2014, closing parenthesis, overall, there would be abounding analytic problems of back traveling to the past. There would be paradoxes. Due to these, it may never be possible, but traveling to the future, it is possible, alike today, and it will become added apparent in the future. And to get a glimpse of the past is currently accessible to so in a sense. Time biking already exists, and as apparent in films like Interstellar, it was the authentic accuracy to an extent. But what about Andrew Carlson's story? I didn't say abundant about it. The adventure that I told you at the alpha of the video, Friends, was absolutely a adventure appear in a abusive newspaper, ALLEGED, the weekly Apple News. Later, it was printed by Yahoo News, and several added media organizations arise the story, as if it were fact, but the accuracy remains. That adventure was a satire. It was affected account that was broadcast in newspapers, and bodies believed that it was true. It was a bogus adventure. Basically, achievement, you begin this adventure informative. On which added capacity would you like to watch? Added videos in the future? Let me apperceive in the comments below. Some unexplained, mystery-related topics that don't accept abundant, authentic explanation? Drop your suggestions in the comments. Please subscribe.